Because you always just got to attack it when
I think it's like
if Arsenal cannot beat Burnley and also Crystal Palace, then we can forget about winning the Premier League. We know from August up until this point, there's been many twists and turns, bumps and bruises, points dropped, good performances, indifferent performances, nitpicking about the manager and players and tactics and evolution and all of that kind of jazz. Now, for me, of the 4 years that we've been fighting for a league title, 2022, 23, didn't expect that. Thought it might have been a fluke. Somewhat think we got into that conversation sooner than we would have expected, if I'm honest. The next year proved that it wasn't a fluke. Obviously, in both years, we fell short. Maybe in some other circumstances, should have got it over the line. The following year beyond that, obviously, that let's have it right. Pardon my French. Last season was a shit show. 14 draws. Transfers didn't fill us with any confidence. We didn't do what we needed to do in January. The only high, in my opinion, was Real Madrid. Ultimately fell short. I didn't go into that season believing we could win a league title. This year, whether it's frustration of being so close but so far, rating the manager and the players, having all those metrics that reflect that we're a competitive side, more goals than this, more points than this, first ever to do this in Arsenal history. All of that reflects that we're a competitive side, which we've shown consistency. It's now about becoming a great team. Now, whether it was because of that, whether it's because of frustrations, whether it was because, they're coming out and telling us we want to win a league. If I'm honest, I was a bit pissed off from last season, from what we was doing. This was the first year I've come into it in August. Don't know, can't predict the future. Brother, there's 4 opportunities to get silverware, whether that's the Champions League, the Premier League, the League Cup, or the FA Cup. FA Cup, terrible shit show. On brand with since we've won it, right? League Cup final, we got to the League Cup final. We didn't win it. Disappointing how we performed in that, etc., etc. Champions League, that Champions League finals on ice. Playing against PSG is like the strongest kid in school wanting to fight you. And at some point, you're going to get beaten up anyways. You might as well have a go in it and try and bust his nose and inconveniencing him in something. Premier League, we're in it. It's in our hands. Now, I'm wary about this in my hands kind of stuff because it is in our hands. It's felt like it's in our hands. We've slipped it. As I said, I have to hold myself accountable. I believe that we can win the league title, or it's the gloves are off this season, etc. My faith was gone when we lost to Bournemouth. My faith was gone when we bottled a 2-goal lead against Wolves. Somehow, it's back in our hands. And to say it's do or die, it's must win, it's business end, all those cliches and connotations, they're played out. It's not that they're not relevant and prevalent, but we've been saying that. The task is simple. You beat Burnley, you beat Crystal Palace, we've won the league. Easier said than done. On the best of days, Premier League games, you never know what happens. If anything, the top 6 sides, when they play against each other, that tends to be fine. It's the smaller teams or the games that on paper you should be winning is where the twists and turns begin, people. Now, if you can't beat a Burnley side that is already down, if you can't beat a Crystal Palace side that will probably have one, if not both eyes on that Conference League final, then I don't know. Obviously, it's not as white and black as that. Crystal Palace, although it wasn't a good hate watch against City, they tend to do well against City, got battered against City. Crystal Palace, that would be their last home game of the season. That would be their last home game for Oliver Glasner, who's probably one of the biggest significant managers in their history. I want to be respectful because there's other people that have set the foundations, but he's won a couple of trophies. Crystal Palace ain't seen that before. I'm sure they're going to want to give him a send-off. I am thinking this is going to be one of those Manchester City, Manchester United, Sergio Aguero-y kind of seasons. Obviously, I was hoping Palace picked up points. I'm kind of going back on it now. You can change your mind, but going into Everton, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, might have got the order mixed up. Bournemouth was the one I got a pen and said, yeah, that's where City F up, if I'm honest with you. I don't quite believe that now. I think this is going to the last game of the season. And I think last game of the season, the table's going to fluctuate. City might take the lead. We might go down against Crystal Palace or vice versa. Obviously, I hope next Tuesday, I hope City are still drunk celebrating the FA Cup final, because I want Chelsea to lose. I hope points are dropped against Bournemouth so that, provided we beat Burnley, Crystal Palace, you lot have a party, we have a party, as a homecoming. And it's almost ironic in that our first title fight, obviously it's not like this, but the first season, we had the pink kit, right? I remember that was our first year fighting for this title under the gaffer, right? That was against Crystal Palace. And it's almost like hopefully we get over the line, it's against Crystal Palace. So all we can do is just sit tight, man. But you can't rely on favors from no one. Not that I think any team does anyone a favor. Obviously, if you're fighting a next team for something, whether that's winning a league, qualifying for Europe, relegation, then what the people around you do or don't do, they indirectly ties as favors. But the task is simple, you know. And again, it's not as simple as I'm making out, even though it is. You win the most games, you're top of the table. Burnley could rock up at the Emirates and be fearless because they're going down. They might be playing for moves. Obviously, I think Arsenal fans, especially if we win the league or if it was, well, it can't, but if it was confirmed for Burnley, our last home game, they've done fans dirty putting it on a Monday. Spare a foot for the traveling Burnley fans. You know, as I said, for the Burnley players, they're playing for the new manager. They're playing for a move. They're playing, you know, for their own futures, whether they're going to be in the Championship. Some of them might never touch the Premier League again and play at the Arsenals, etc. If they win, it's bare headlines. It don't do much for them, but it's bare headlines. If they lose, it's business as usual. You have to be kind of fearful of that. Crystal Palace, you can't just assume, even if they make changes, that it's going to be an easy game, if I'm completely honest with you. That's just not how life works. But the task is simple. It's in our hands. If you're serious about winning a league title, then you beat a Crystal Palace side that might have one eye, obviously, on the European final. You beat a Burnley side that's already relegated at the Emirates, and you put in a convincing performance. Obviously, I'd love to win 4-5-0, goal difference, all that kind of jazz. But I just want the 3 points, if I'm brutally honest with you. And I think it's quite simple, if I'm honest. Like I said, I don't think Bournemouth are going to get anything off City anymore. So I've kind of changed my mind. Although nobody, when we, you know, very rarely do Bournemouth have an off day. Like even us, when you went and grabbed, they beat us in the last game. But when you go and get 3 points off them, it's like, fucking hell, we got out of there, innit? So I do think they're a nasty side to play against. It is their last home game under Areola, who's actually earmarked for the Crystal Palace role, amongst others. The task is simple, people, man, guys and girls. Like, we've got 79 points to 77. City are praying we slip up. We're praying they slip up. We just need to do our jobs. And I don't want to be that guy and go back in time, because it's neither here nor there. The past brings regrets. The future brings uncertainty. There's no time like the present. What can we do in this present moment to get this Premier League right? It does make you wonder, what if you even got a point against Bournemouth, you know, much less 3? What if you held on against Wolves, at Sunderland away, Manchester City at home? You know, for me, Mikel Arteta, the second half against Liverpool at Anfield, the Arteta and the players at the Emirates against Liverpool. And there's several other twists and turns, bumps and bruises. We know about fine margins. There's no margin for error. Like, we're either going to win this Prem by the skin of our teeth, or it's another one where the fine margins have gone against us. And although we might lose out by a point or whatever, as I was just alluding to, even Chelsea in the last few years at the Bridge, you're going to start doing the mental maths and think, what could we have done? We need to get over the line, people. Like, we genuinely need to get over the line. Like, you look in the 23-24 season, you know, we had 5 draws and 5 defeats. Again, fine margins. City had 91 points. We had 89. See if what could have been if we converted a couple of those draws or losses into victory, people. So I don't want to be on the wrong side of history. The 2024-25 season, horrible from an Arsenal perspective. It weren't a title race, if I'm honest. Yeah, Liverpool finished 10 points clear, but they pulled out in front really and truly a lot sooner, and it was over before it started. And then the 2022-23 season, 84 points to Manchester City's 89. So at some point, we want to be on the right side of history. So for me, obviously, we'll be hate watching, we'll be hoping, but we just have to bear in mind that Arsenal Football Club need to do their jobs. And after 4 years under the gaffer, for 20 odd years at the Emirates, we'll have a league title.